Today we're going to be talking about my favorite subject, economic development, with the former Secretary of Economic Development, Alberto Bacó.
Live from San Juan, Puerto Rico, this is the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast. Now, here's your host, Daven Michaels.
Today we're visiting with Alberto Bacó, former Secretary of Economic Development to Puerto Rico. Alberto, great to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me.
So we're going to do a deep dive into the history of Puerto Rico, all of the incentives that are available in Puerto Rico. They're so vast. I know we won't be able to cover them all today, but I'm excited to have you here. So Alberto, what's your Puerto Rico story?
Well, I grew up in a family that my grandfather came from Yauco and my grandmother from Ponce. Mm-hmm. On the other side, from my mother, they were from Condado. And I was very fortunate to have a great family. I grew up in the environment of a furniture manufacturing factory. My grandfather was a very creative guy and bohemian. He was a musician, a great guy. And so I grew up working since I was 10 years old. I loved to be taken to the furniture manufacturing business and just do whatever I could to work and to earn some money. So I always liked business since I was a kid. It came natural.
And you came from an entrepreneurial family. Were your parents in the business as well?
My father eventually, when my grandfather got sick, he went into managing, but my father was more of a manager type, mm-hmm. and my grandfather was a creative guy. Mm-hmm. My grandmother participated in the business. She was a German, and as Germans are characterized, she was a kind of the leader on the administration, on the discipline.
Sure.
So she was also involved. I learned a lot from all of them. Okay. All of them had the different characteristics, and I saw them very clear.
Awesome. So I'm always intrigued by politics. I've never been in politics, but I'm always intrigued by how people end up in politics. So what was your background? Where'd you go to college, and what did you aspire to do when you first went?
I studied at the University of Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. I studied accounting and finance. Mm-hmm. I always remember my father pushing for accounting, and I used to hear the finance teacher telling us, if you're successful in accounting, you will end up being a finance guy. Mm-hmm. So I learned finance also. And then while working full-time for one of the big 8 accounting firms at that time, I studied law in the evening school of the University of Puerto Rico. I have always wondered why I wanted to live life so fast, but I always found ways to balance my life, and I found that the more you had, the more organized you were, and the more you could achieve. So it was not bad. I had time to have fun and
Sure.
and go out, and so it was a great time in Puerto Rico. At that time, it was 1970s. Puerto Rico was booming.
Yeah.
Nobody thought of leaving Puerto Rico, going to study to U.S. universities. Mm-hmm. Was not something that was kind of needed. Mm-hmm. And I come from a family that my grandmother from Ponce studied in Manhattanville in New York. And my grandfather from Yauco studied in the U.S. also. So it's not that my family didn't know what was that of studying abroad, but there was not a need. The University of Puerto Rico was an excellent university, and the opportunities here were huge.
Yeah, back then people weren't leaving Puerto Rico.
So I lived that dream, and that's one of the things that motivates me to do the things I do, because I lived in a dream, Puerto Rico, and I think that we can achieve that again. And I want that for my kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what came first, being Secretary of Economic Development to Puerto Rico, or being head of the Puerto Rico Business Development Bank?
Well, I have a story of two cycles at the public life. One when I was very, very young, very dark hair, mustache, and as a young professional, I got unique opportunities where I worked for the last 3 years of his life with Ted Moscoso, and that opened my mind. I tell everyone, get the best mentors you can get, and just observe them.
For people that don't know who that is, who's that?
Ted Moscoso basically is I will say, the top person in the world in terms of economic development. He invented what is to incentivize capital investment. This is something that the world of economic development is not that studied, nor that sexy to be discussed, but Singapore, that became very fast in an incredible place.
In 3 decades, they built it up.
They came to Puerto Rico to study what Ted Moscoso had done.
So Ted was here in Puerto Rico.
Yes, he was the economic development administrator, secretary for many, many years under the administration of Luis Muñoz Marin. So he developed all this strategy that was called Operation Bootstrap.
Okay, we're going to actually come back to Operation Bootstrap in just a moment with more of Alberto Bacó. Don't go away. I want to take a quick minute to tell you about an organization that's very near and dear to my heart because I started it. The San Juan Social Club is at its core a community of extraordinary people getting together for food, fun, networking, and philanthropy. What started out a few years ago as a small gathering of friends has blossomed into thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, movers, shakers, and change makers here in Puerto Rico. We hold monthly free social, learning, and community service events. We run an annual networking cruise, which is truly an unforgettable experience. Plus, we just started securing member exclusives on things like discounts for professional services, restaurants, and service businesses on the island and beyond. If you spend any time at all in Puerto Rico, we'd love to see you at our next event. Visit sanjuansocialclub.org to get on the invite list. Again, that's sanjuansocialclub.org. Hope to see you at our next event. Investing and philanthropy, two things that are very close to my heart. You know, they seem worlds apart, right? But imagine this. What if you could blend them seamlessly into one? Well, guess what? You can with Philanthro Investors. They're not just merging the worlds of giving and investing, they're pioneers linking passionate philanthropists and socially responsible investors with game-changing enterprises. How awesome is that? Doing good while doing well for others. Ready to learn more? Head over to philanthroinvestors.com or call 727-337-7729. Mention the broadcast to receive their special white glove service only available to our listeners. Philanthro Investors, shaping a better world one investment at a time. And we're back with Alberto Bacó, former Secretary of Economic Development to Puerto Rico. And we were talking about Operation Bootstrap and Ted Moscoso.
Ted Moscoso.
Moscoso, yeah. So tell me that story.
This guy was an amazing guy. And as I said, I had the opportunity of meeting him. He was a dynamo. And he developed all this Operation Bootstrap, where basically there was a manufacturing plant operation inaugurated every week. This was an exciting place. Again, Singapore came to study and copy it.
When was
that? Singapore came to study the Puerto Rico model in the middle of the 1970s.
Okay.
It's documented at Fomento, and there are pictures and everything, a big delegation from Singapore. The Ted Moscoso, for you to have an idea, transcended Puerto Rico. He was covered in the Time magazine cover. He was named ambassador to Venezuela by President Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And then he was named the head of President Kennedy's most important initiative, which is the Alliance for Progress. If you go to Morton's restaurant, for me, one of the nicest pictures of when Puerto Rico was developing is President Kennedy with Luis Muñoz Marin, Pablo Casals in a concert, and Ted Moscoso. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of guy that this was. And for Puerto Rico, he basically carried all the weight of all the strategy and the execution together with Muñoz Marin.
And Ted Moscoso's background, he was a
pharmacist from Ponce, of a wealthy family. Uh-huh. He went to the best universities, but he developed a passion for economic development and for creating jobs. I kind of inherited that passion by just being able to hear the way this guy thought, because you can give people money, you can do a lot of things, but I learned that the dignity of work, and not only work, to work where you feel that you're maximizing your talents. And that's not easy for a lot of people to get to.
Yeah.
Is be where you maximize your talents, that dignity, that have no price, and to be able to create good jobs for a country, to see the faces of all these people that would otherwise would not have a job opportunity. That is unique, and for me that motivates me, because I believe that Puerto Rico is the greatest place in the world, even greatest than Singapore. We just lost our way, and we are regaining it. And our next step is to tell all our talented diaspora that there's a lot of good things happening here, and there's a lot of potential in Puerto Rico, and telling them where the potential is and asking them to come back. Mm-hmm. If I were a politician or I were in the public sector again, which I would not go for a third round,
right,
because I'm very happy with what I'm doing, I will just create a campaign to let them know how unique are the opportunities, where they are, and to make an ask to come back. That's our next frontier. We have activated the hospitality industry. We have activated a unique program to bring capital to Puerto Rico, because that's what it is. The Act 60, Act 2022 is a program to attract capital. It's not all the other things that some people malintentionally want to labeled otherwise. It's a strategy to attract capital. So we have been successful on that, and we have been successful on creating a hospitality industry that has projects all around the island. Now, this is an island with 78 different experiences within 100 times 35 miles. And that's very unique in the world, that you can move in 15 to half an hour from a complete different experience. You don't have that in a lot of places in the world. So we have been successful in that. And we have a unique characteristic for remote work, for exporting services. Well, what we need now, we need to tell the successful diaspora that left, come back.
Right, absolutely. So what came first? Secretary of Economic Development or head of the Economic Development Bank?
Okay, my 2 rounds.
Yes.
My first round, very young, I was able to be Executive Vice President of the Economic Development Bank, and later on, I was Executive Vice President of the Government Development Bank, which was in charge like the central bank. Mm-hmm. That was a great experience because I had the experience of going to the U.S. and participating in all the bond issuances. Also, I was General Counsel for the creation of the Office of the Commissioner of Financial Institutions. Also an amazing experience, and ended up being President of the Economic Development Bank. So that was on my first round. I was from 28 years old to 33 years old.
You were so young.
Very young,
Yeah.
and a unique experience.
Yeah.
Then I went to the private sector. I developed a career doing mergers and acquisitions, managing businesses, and then I decided to come back. The Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla asked me to basically, I was the first person that he made an offer to join his group, and he offered me to be Secretary of Economic Development.
We'll be right back. We're going to put a pin in that. We'll be back in just a second with more of Alberto Bacó. Don't go away. As a business owner, the last thing I want to be doing is payroll. Not only do I not want to be doing payroll, but I don't want my staff doing it. Heck, I don't even want my bookkeeper doing my payroll. Why? Because payroll is complicated, it's cumbersome, the liability is high, and if you ever screw it up on the employee side, trust me, they'll never forgive you. That's why I use Easy Checks Caribbean. They make payroll easy, painless, and trouble-free. Here's how it works. My assistant gives Easy Checks the hours. And that's it. That's all we do. And then the next week, our employees receive their checks, or most of them just receive their direct deposit, and that's it. The taxes, the compliance, the disbursements, the quarterly tax filings. We just give them the hours, and that's it. I love Easy Checks. Visit easycheckspr.com or call 787-379-0241. Mention the broadcast, and the first 3 months are on the house. Whether you have 1 employee or 1,000, Easy Checks Caribbean, making payroll easy for businesses across Puerto Rico. If you're looking for an event space, a wedding venue, or a gorgeous getaway, let me introduce you to the Aqua Marina Beach Club, a no-kids beach club oasis in Rincon. This gorgeous property includes a boutique hotel with 15 beautiful guest rooms, rooftop lounge, 360 view, swim-up pool bar, event spaces, coffee shop and gelateria, and a stellar restaurant. All just a few steps from the beach. I love this place. I've thrown parties and networking mixers at their pool bar, great cocktails, beautiful ambiance. I've booked rooms in the hotel for several relaxing staycations. To learn more, you can visit aquamarinabeachclub.com or call 787-823-2593 to book a stay. And don't forget to mention the broadcast to grab an exclusive 20%
10% discount. Aqua Marina Beach Club in Rincon.
And we're back with more of Alberto Bacó, and we were talking about heading up the Economic Development Bank.
Yes, heading up the Economic Development Bank was ending 33 years old, my first round.
Yeah.
So going fast forward,
You went into the private sector,
after
M&A.
going to the private sector and spending a long career doing M&As and running businesses, I ended up being offered the first person that the governor just elected, Alejandro Garcia Padilla, in November 2012. I had sold the business that I was managing to my majority partners, Beth Fernandez and company. So I was looking for new challenges, and he said that he saw me and wanted me to be his economic development secretary, which basically manages all the economic development strategy and execution for the government. Usually people answer, let me consult my pillow or my wife. I said yes immediately.
Wow.
Because I had this inner thing
You had a passion for it.
that brought me back to some unfinished passion. And so I said right away, yes, if you permit me to create my team. That was the only thing I asked.
Okay.
I need my team. This is not something I can do alone, nor I will be a politician. I need my team. And so I spent it 4 years, and I had the most amazing run on those 4 years.
Tell me more about that time.
Because I think that timing was there to basically introduce what I call Operation Minds to Work, which is the transition. My life has been transitions and transformations. That's what have motivated me. And finally, there was the opportunity of transitioning from an economy that Ted Moscoso had created, so powerful, based only on manufacturing,
Right.
that was no longer working as it used to.
Right.
To transition it to a modern economy that we all call the team Minds to Work. Because why Minds to Work? Because it doesn't have that much component of brick and mortar. It's more exporting of services, hospitality,
Right.
technology, even blockchain, crypto, modernizing Puerto Rico. So that opened the doors to expand and create the idea that at that point in time, people were feeling we have these laws to attract investment, but we will attract people that are retiring and with wealth to move here. And I said, no. I said, no. We have the opportunity of moving young people also that have export businesses that is very attractive to move their export businesses here and move themselves to Puerto Rico. And that's how we began to market all this set of laws as a package. And I think that that's what created the magic to begin to have more adopters of Act 6 at that point in time,
2022.
Act 20 and 22. And the anecdotes are just captivating.
So this was the birth of Act 2022.
Yes.
Yes. And tell me about that. Like, you guys had this idea. Like, how did you get this idea created? You know, how did you turn it into reality?
As I said, these were set of laws that
Oh,
they are.
and by the way, too, I also want to say Act 20 and 22, the export side of it, which I guess is Act 22. 20, excuse me, is available to not just transplants, but Puerto Ricans as well.
And the curious thing
Yep.
is that it had been available for 20 or 30 years.
Okay.
And it had never been
Utilized.
utilized only by a few people.
So it was already there. It was already in the laws.
In the law under the previous manufacturing law, 273, 73,
So it
that
had-
has always existed,
Right.
but was not adopted. What happened was that a group of very talented people got together in 2012 and said, look, manufacturing is no longer bringing the activity, the volume, what we can do. And then it was like a think tank of attorneys and investment bankers. Attorney Edgar Rios was involved. Gaby Hernandez was involved. Miguel Ferrer was involved. All this group created a think tank and pushed legislation that was similar to the Virgin Islands. So the Virgin Islanders were the first real adopters
Right.
because they were frustrated with the Virgin Islands because they didn't found people to work there. So they were fertile people to move here. But in the beginning, that was at the end of 2012, they were only 50 decrees granted, and they were from people from the Virgin Islands. So that's where I got named secretary. And I had participated in all that process. I knew the laws, and I gave it a twist. I said, no, this is not for the people that are moving for the Virgin Islands. This is not for the retirees. Even the CPAs used to tell me, that will not work. I said, wait.
So we're out of time. So what we're going to do, if you're okay with it, I want to bring you back for another episode so we can continue down this rabbit hole. Okay?
Sure.
All right. So
be great.
Thanks for joining us. And this is Daven Michaels with Alberto Bacó. We'll see you on the next episode. And until next time, live your true life adventure. Bye for now.